Anybody who's watched our videos for a while know one of our big rules is we don't do causes and solutions because those are just deflections, and you could spend all day talking about causes and solutions and forget what's right in the middle between those two things, which is the act of horrific violence that way too many people in this country are in denial, deceit, and delusion about it. So when people send me videos like this of about causes and solutions, or big pictures from 30,000 feet about what's happening down here on the ground, I don't normally gravitate towards these videos, but this came from one of my Chicago cops, one of many Chicago cops that are just big fans of the books and the videos, and they really are, they send me stuff, shirts and all this other stuff. So I pay attention to them because they actually know what they're talking about. Really glad I watched this video. It's about 8 minutes long, but I cut it down. I think I cut it down. It's about 15 minutes down. I cut about half of it out, so you can go track down the rest if you like. It's about victimhood culture and what it really means. And it really, really illuminates a lot of the stuff we hear around here. So give it a listen.
Especially, and it happens first on campuses in the United States, is the transition to a victimhood culture. A culture of victimhood is one characterized by concern with status and sensitivity to slight, so just like an honor culture. Any little thing can cause it, you have to react. So people are intolerant of insults, even if unintentional, as in an honor culture. But here, they react differently. They don't deal with it themselves. They bring it to the attention of the authorities. If something happens, you don't deal with it yourself. You report it, you get the president of the university, the dean, somebody, some older person, some bureaucratic authority, you bring them in to punish the person who did this. In such a culture, you don't emphasize your strength, rather the aggrieved emphasize their oppression and their social marginalization. They also point out that the only way to gain status is not just to be a victim, but to stand up for other victims. And so even if you're not in a victim class, you can gain status by aggressively pursuing those who you think have marginalized members of the victim class. And the reason why this is so terrible for the students themselves is that once victimhood culture gets onto your campus, and once it gets into the teaching, students are literally taught to see people as members of good or bad groups. There is the good race and the bad race, the good gender and the bad gender, good, bad. Students are learning a Manichaean view of the world, good versus evil. This means that there is eternal conflict and grievance. There can never be peace in a victimhood culture. There is eternal conflict and grievance because that's what the struggle for status is all about. Students are walking on eggshells. In a victimhood culture, everyone is afraid, everyone is self-censoring. And that's what leads them to implement or to demand safety culture. The whole idea, the very idea that a college campus is full of danger. These are unbelievably safe places. But the idea that words, ideas, and speakers could invalidate someone's existence is so threatening. We need protections. We need safe spaces. We need trigger warnings. The net effect is that the very people you're trying to help are rendered weaker, and they become moral dependents. They become morally dependent. So the reason why this is so bad for students is because of the other big psychological idea I want to share with you, which is anti-fragility. My first book, The Happiness Hypothesis, it was about 10 great truths, insights from around the world and across the millennia. Truth number 7 is that people are anti-fragile. So as Friedrich Nietzsche put it, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And there's a lot of research. It's not always true. There is PTSD. There are some things that can damage you. But for the most part, it's true. It's a great truth because it was noticed by many wise people in different cultures. Mengzi or Mencius said, when heaven is about to confer a great responsibility on any man, it will exercise his mind with suffering, subject his sinews and bones to hard work, and place obstacles in the paths of his deeds so as to stimulate his mind, harden his nature, and improve wherever he is incompetent. You cannot be a great man or woman unless you have suffered, faced adversity, been banged around, failed, and come back, gotten back up 50, 100, 500 times. That's the only way to greatness. There's a wonderful book by Nassim Taleb called Anti-Fragile, and this is the key idea. And Taleb, I talked to him about this. He wishes he could find a better word, but there isn't one. So he made this word anti-fragile, but it's exactly right. And he describes anti-fragility as systems that increase in capability, resilience, or robustness as a result of mistakes, faults, attacks, or failures. And he's very clear to say this is not resilience. If something is resilient, that means you can beat on it and it won't break, but it doesn't get stronger. No, he means things that actually get better. And so the examples that he gives that anyone can see, so bone is this way. Bone will toughen and harden to the extent that it's needed. And so if you take it easy on your bones, if you don't work them, if you're in weightlessness for months, they get weaker and weaker and weaker, and then when you experience weight, they'll break. The immune system is the same way. It is expecting experience. If you raise your kids and you use a lot of antibacterial wipes, you are crippling their immune system because the human immune system can't reach adulthood unless it experiences millions and billions of kinds of bacteria, hookworm, all sorts of parasites that it's expecting that it learns from. So the immune system will be crippled if you protect your kids. And of course, children will be crippled if you protect them. So as we wrap our kids in bubble wrap, and this is what we began doing. So American parenting changed in the 1980s for a variety of historical reasons. In the 1980s, we began massively protecting our kids. Now, it's true there was a crime wave that began, so it wasn't imaginary. And it was amplified by the arrival in 1980 of cable TV. So we were afraid for our children, unnecessarily, it turns out, but we really sort of threw the blanket of protection over them beginning of the 1980s, and it wasn't just as infants. So helicopter parenting really takes off in the 1990s. Kids are raised for a variety of reasons. Parents are always there, helping. Wait, here, you need a Band-Aid. Did you remember this? So kids are not, they're not having unsupervised time. Unsupervised time used to be a feature of childhood. Every child spent a lot of time unsupervised every day. They'd work it out. They'd have fights in the playground. Some would call them stupid. They'd fight. But these are the experiences that make you grow up. And of course, now it goes all the way through college. I occasionally hear from business people tell me that when they turn someone down for a job, it has happened that their parents, the kids' parents, call them. So what do you think happened? How did it happen that when Hofstra University has the great honor to host the first debate, how on earth did it happen that Hofstra, rather than saying to its students, hooray, go sit in the front row, how did it happen that they came swooping in saying, now kids, if you're upset, here's 5 numbers you can call. We're here to help. This is not helping because safety culture is debilitating. It is crippling. It is a terrible, terrible thing. Those who embrace it, those who embrace as an identity, my identity is that I am a victim, I am a member of a marginalized or oppressed group. I'm not denying that there's oppression. I'm saying if the more you foster that as your core identity, the weaker you get, the more angry you get, the less likely you are to thrive after leaving the bubble of safety. Who gets stronger from this? Straight white men. Straight white men are the only beneficiaries here because for 4 years they're told you're the bad guys, you're the evil ones, and there are no resources to support you in particular. What does that sound like? Frequent criticism and no special support. What does that sound like? A job, right? That's what a job is, okay? So straight white men have 4 years of preparation for a job. Whereas anybody who grasps that identity has 4 years of dispreparation, or whatever you might say. And as I've been giving these talks, and I talk with people, and I meet business people at Stern, and they say, what is going on? I mean, I don't want to hire these kids. I mean, they're going to sue, they're going to cry. Like, what? I don't want these kids from this safety culture. So again, safety culture is debilitating. If you see signs of it here at Duke, run like hell.
Now that video was worth the price of admission. It got 120-some thumbs down. No doubt going around talking about how people are hurting themselves by joining victimhood cultures, by protecting themselves from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, and that all the rest of us have to go through every day would actually but these slings and arrows actually make us better and stronger people. They don't experience that. All they get to do is experience, jumping up and down like a jack-in-the-box all day long, explaining to us that they are a victim or a member of a victim class. How many times have we heard this? As a black woman, as a black man. Okay, whatever. Great video, but I'm sure watching this video, it made a lot of black kids angry.